Hey y'all, it's me Lauren. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are doing something a little bit different. We are doing my English 1301 research project. My job, my rights. I just want to preface this by saying, in no way I'm going out for the company. So in this video, I am going to be explaining the place that I work, aka Red Raider Outfitter, and the legality of how they are keeping people around. My main topics that I have today are the amount of breaks that they are giving us to go see family, our breaks based on hourly shifts, and then just overall like hours that they are giving us, because the majority of the people that work there are college students. So I wanted to see how that is affecting college students and how they are getting away with certain things in treating us this way. So here we go. In this, I interviewed 3 people, Kinley, Alicia, and Kaden. They are all girls that work with me at Red Raider Outfitter. And I asked them all these questions because they have different points of view. Like on one end, Kaden really loves her job, and on the other end, me and Alicia, not so much. So the interview question first that I have is, do you feel that a 4-day Thanksgiving break, or however long you were given, is enough time to go see your family, depending on where you live? I have 3 different answers from these girls, and they all kind of vary a little bit in the range of Alicia saying absolutely not, and Kaden saying yes. Firstly, Alicia said that no, we should not have that 4-day break, that we should have up to a week, because a week is the perfect time, in her opinion, to go see your family for Thanksgiving break, coming from college students. Kinley said kind of, but she said that it kind of makes sense because we do get a longer break that is about a week and a half for Christmas. That is like around 3 weeks later. And then we have Kaden's answer. She was actually given 3 days for Thanksgiving break. She said that yes, she would love longer and that she wishes she had longer. However, because when we were hired, we were told that we were not going to get much time off for holidays, that she kind of has just accepted this fact, and there's not much you can do about it. So overall, a mixed range of opinions on this topic. However, all of them kind of come down to the conclusion of, we would like longer, but it's not a need, and it's not the worst thing in the world that we only have this break, because we are adults, so it is reasonable that we are only getting this amount of time off. My second interview question that I have for you guys is, how does working during school events such as football games affect your willingness to work? I preface this by saying we work during football games because we sell school spirit. We are allowed to leave the football game, or we are allowed to leave work 30 minutes before the football game is going to start. So if we have tickets for the game, we can go. However, depending on the time of the game, like a 2 p.m. game, we can stay the whole time. Sometimes we will have to leave early. If it's an 11 a.m. game, we have to leave at halftime and go back to work the rest of the shift. And honestly, I'm not 100% sure about basketball games and such, but a lot of school events that are super big and important to Texas Tech as a whole, we have to miss because we sell school spirit, so we have to be working during that. Alicia's answer was that we should be allowed to pick and choose. By this, we are just people, and she says that doing this, it shouldn't be mandatory to work every single game day. Yes, we should be required to work some of them, just not all of them. Just because it is kind of like when normal jobs, you get to pick and choose what days you get to work. Then when it comes to Kinley's answer, she said it doesn't 100% affect her willingness to work. However, when we are given these game days that we have to work, but we have family in town, we can't just go to the game with our family. Even if they have bought tickets, it's kind of hard to get out of it, especially if it's the biggest game day. Or if your family's in town and they're gonna go watch the game at home, you're not allowed to leave work for that. So you may just miss that game. You may miss hanging out with your family. Or if your family is going to the game and they didn't get you a ticket, but you can't get into the student section because it's closed already. So there are some hard things that we just can't really get to do that go along with missing these games, that even if we have family in town for it, we can't really necessarily miss, which is really annoying because a lot of places you can take off certain days and they don't require you, basically make it mandatory to work during certain days. And then Caden's answer on the opposite end of this spectrum, she loves working game days. She thinks it's great. It's actually one of her favorite things to do. My third interview question. This is, are you given enough hours? If not, yes, too many, too little. In this, Alicia gave me a really good answer and said that actually, yes, she is given a good amount of hours, and she really likes the amount of hours that she's working. She works just enough to where she's can make a decent amount of money to live the way she needs to, but on the other end, it's not too much that she feels overworked. However, we are not getting paid enough. That is her response to this, is that, yeah, her hours are great, but the pay is not. So that affects her wanting to actually come in for the hours that she's given. So I think that's a really, really good branching off point, that yes, she may be scheduled enough hours being full-time, but she doesn't make enough for how much she's doing and for how many hours she is working. On Kinley's side, yes, she's getting enough hours during game day weeks. Those weeks we get scheduled twice as much as we do when it's not a home game. To give you a little bit of background, we get about 30 to 40 hours when it's a game day week, even as someone who is part-time. However, she said she does have an issue when it's not a home game week, when there's not as many people in the stores. She just doesn't come in as frequently, so she can get anywhere from 15 to 16 hours, and that's not enough. So she wishes that the hours were more consistent in what they were giving the part-time. And next, we have Caden's answer. She answered really nicely, which kind of shows both sides of this. She started off as part-time and now she is full-time. As part-time, she struggled with the same issue as Kinley, not getting enough hours during away games, but getting a great amount of hours when we had a home game that week. But now that she's full-time, she thinks that her hours are great. She loves the amount of time that she works. So I think that just based on these responses, I think if you were full-time, the hours wouldn't fluctuate so much and you'd really just get what a normal person's week-to-week life would look like in the workplace. And my last and final interview question, number 4, this one is about, yes, working 11 hours in a day, but not getting any breaks. We only get, it depends on how busy we are and the game that it is, but there have been multiple times where I have not gotten longer than a 10-minute break on an 11.5-hour shift, or not getting a break at all over an 8.5-hour shift. So here are my girls' responses. She said that on game days, breaks don't really exist. Like I said, we get about a 5-minute to 10-minute break over an 11.5-hour shift. We're there from 7:30 in the morning to close, which is 6:30, and sometimes we'll have to stay late and help clean up, so maybe 7 or 7:30, with little to no breaks during those days. She really pushes the fact that we don't get paid enough to work without a break. And in the state of Texas, you can get a 15-minute break with an 8-hour shift while still being paid. Then once it hits 30 minutes, you don't get paid for it. But we don't get paid to continually be working and not get a singular break. So on regular days, yes, maybe we get a decent amount of breaks if it's over a 6-hour shift, but then we don't get a break either. So Kinley's answer just shows a little bit more of the understanding for it, which is good for the workplace. Sometimes she said that, yeah, it's understandable that we don't get breaks over game days because we are so busy. We can have up to 400 people in a store at once because there are so many people just trying to get that game day spirit wear, that game day swag that we are providing. So a lot of the times we don't get breaks, and she understands that. However, she would still like more breaks on any shift because, like I mentioned, the 6-hour shifts, we don't get breaks up until it hits 6 hours. So if you're just working exactly 6 hours, you don't get a break. So there is kind of just like an issue across the board of just not getting enough breaks or any in that fact. And another similar response from Kaden is that, yes, the breaks during the week are good when you're working a certain amount of time, but on game days, it does really suck because we don't get break time. The consensus from all of this is that really just game days, unfortunately, we understand that it's super busy, but we are humans and would like more than a 15-minute break to eat, sit down, just like stop moving for a few seconds, but unfortunately, we really just don't get that. In this, I also did some actual legal research on Texas state laws because I'm not from Texas, so I'm really not used to the state laws. That Texas, over a 7 or an 8-hour shift, is not mandatory to give you longer than a 15-minute break. Yes, a 15-minute break is required for an 8-hour shift, but longer than that is not required. So in this, I could not find how long for a 12-hour shift. It kind of just blurs out. With all the sites that I have found, I will show you guys all of the sites that I used right here, but unfortunately, I could not find anything for a 12-hour shift. So just going based off of that 8-hour shift, 15-minute break, we are breaking Texas state laws multiple times a week, which not by much. They are kind of getting away with it in a few ways, like, oh, they get bathroom breaks, but Texas state laws, they're breaking them. I think a lot of this comes back to the fact that this is considered a small business. I say that with air quotes because the small business means usually it's run by one person, there's only one location, which in Red Raider Outfitter case, it is run by a little family. It's owned by alumni from Texas Tech, so they're great. But we have 6 locations now, 1 in Plano and the rest in Lubbock. There's plenty of employees that are running this place. We make tons and tons of money off of this place, as well as the owners of the Red Raider Outfitter also own several other stores called Chrome. That one, it's just a clothing store, high-end clothing store. They have Louis Vuitton and On Clouds and many really expensive items that I know people go in and buy. And then as well as a store called Old School. I have not personally seen it, but I've heard it's more of like a unique vintage looking store, again with more high-end pieces. My point being in this, that they are a small business, so they do get away with some of those labor laws because they don't make enough money to pay us higher amounts, or they don't make enough money to give us breaks and then be short employees, or they just can't hire more employees. But they really truly are. That's where my standpoint is on this. However, with the point of all of this, I would like you to take a step back and see how the workplace is treating you, where you work, see what's happening, what is normal in the workplace, because the answers that I've been given have kind of put me in a gray area on what really is allowed in the workplace. Like, I understand the shifts, I get the legality of that, which is why I left the place, but other than that, what really is the workplace allowed to do? Is there gray area? Am I missing something? Like, what workplaces aren't gonna do this, or what workplace I want to understand where all these places are coming from and what the pay rate is among places similar to this, or how their employees are treated, because I think that is a super important thing, and I think this is one of the main reasons why people leave and quit and go find other jobs. But is it really like this amongst all workplaces? I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, a little something out of the ordinary. I really appreciate watching. Bye, guys!